Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of AWS Young. I'm your host, Abhishek, and today in this session, I'm going to talk about how to set up AWS Guardrails in an AWS Control Tower managed environment. So without any further ado, I will take you to the AWS Control Tower console, and from where we can configure these guardrails to our organizational units or to AWS account. So here we are in the AWS Control Tower console. And as you can see, there is a control library and you can see all the controls under that section. Today, I'm going to pick one of the easiest controls or guardrail, which can be applied and which will give us a result as a non-compliant resource. So the one I'm going to pick today is the EC2 volume in use check. And I'm going to talk about this control in detail later on, but because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enable this control on our organization unit. So as you can see, as soon as I clicked on the button and I can pick either securities or a sandbox organization unit. So in my OU, I have only two OUs at the moment. One is security and one is sandbox. So at this point, because it's a new environment, I haven't set up any new sandbox environment for us. So we have two security accounts, which is audit and log archive. So I'm applying this policy in that OU. So once I apply this control on the organization unit, it will be applied to two different accounts underneath it. As you can see here, we have shared accounts and we have log archive and audit account, and one of them is the management account from where I have deployed this control to our other AWS accounts. And I'll switch back to the other AWS account, the audit account, from where this policy is going to be applied. And as you can see, I've applied to security OU, and it covers our audit account and the log archive account. So let's go to the audit account and see what's happening in the back end. So what actually, before we jump into our audit account, I'll show you what this control will do. So this control is basically detect whether there is an Amazon EBS volume which is attached to the EC2 instance or not. And this is like one of the high level rule in our AWS control. What it's going to do is, if you see in the artifacts, it's one of the AWS config rules applied on the account level. And as you can, let's switch to our AWS audit account. And if you see here, and in the audit account, and it will go to the config service because our controls is going to deploy this config rule into the audit account. And let's go to the rules. Let's see if it has already been deployed or not. And I can see this AWS Control Tower EC2 volume in use check rule has been deployed here. And this is one of the detective kind of a rule. So we have three kind of AWS controls or guardrails: preventive, detective, and proactive. Proactives are the one which are recently launched, and they are deployed using CloudFormation hooks. Okay, let's come back to this one first and see how we can use this rule and detect a non-compliant resource in our AWS account. So this will check a AWS EBS volume for us. And if we go to the EC2 instance and create a volume, and we are not going to attach that volume to any of our AWS EC2 resource, and then our config rule should pick that non-compliant resource, and it should report back to the AWS config dashboard and later to the control tower dashboard. So I'm on the EC2 dashboard, EC2 console, and here let's go to the volume section and create one new volume. I'll keep the volume size small to save some cost. And let's create this volume. So at the moment, we don't have any non-compliant resource in this account. If we go to the dashboard, you can see there is no compliant resource here, and there are 2 compliant resources. So as our volume is available now, it takes approximately 2 minutes. Our config rule picks this non-compliant resource. So for the time being, I'm going to pause this video and start the recording again. So yeah, I'm back, and now I can see AWS config has reported one resource as non-compliant, and this should be the volume we have created just now, which is not attached to any of the EC2 instances. As you can see, the volume ID number, and we can match it to the volume we have created. So that means how easily it is we can set up and configure a control or a guardrail from a AWS Control Tower managed environment, and we can push it to the multiple AWS accounts in one go. So that's what we covered so far. And now let's see what we can see in the AWS Control Tower dashboard. Let me go back to the dashboard, and it should have, yeah. So as I told earlier, so Control Tower has a nice dashboard, and where you can have the complete visibility from various accounts, all the non-compliant resources, wherever you have applied these controls. So as we can see, this is the same volume ID, and it is non-compliant, and it will give us more information in which organization unit it is and which account it is reporting from. And based on this, we can take some actions or actions to remediate this issue. And in addition to this, we should have received a non-compliant resource email to our email address. As you can see here, this kind of SNS notification helps us customizing these remediation effects on the resource itself. So we can take any kind of remediation action, like we can just go and write a Lambda function which will destroy these kind of AMIs, volumes which are not attached to any of the EC2 instances. So, or we can report this to the development team, so to be easy on them, so that they can go and destroy this volume or use it for any of their use cases. And thank you for joining in. And in our next episodes, I will cover some more cool features of AWS Control Tower service. Thank you. Have a good day.